large of a carbon dioxide footprint on the planet, and we are completely destroying it. And what Mr.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in time and space. This is Jefferson Davis, jeffersondavis.us. Welcome to episode 9 of Kilos of Craic, where we talk about everything from Irma to the movie It. Enjoy this week's show. We will see you for episode 10 next week.
My son called me from work yesterday, and he goes, "Dad, would you like to go see It tonight?" I said, "Sure." So he pre-orders the tickets. Because we've been waiting on this thing for like 2 years to come out.
Mm-hmm.
We've been waiting. My youngest son, he's my horror guy. He will sit there and watch every horror movie in the world with me. No matter if it's cheesy.
He's tortured that poor child since he was about 4 years old.
No, I've not tortured him. I have desensitized him so he can be the merciful killing machine in the military that needs to be.
You call him whatever you want.
But anyway, we go and see the movie, and yeah, it's good. It's
cool.
a decent movie. Yeah, it's really good. So I'm impressed. I thought it was going to be like sucky because they've been talking about it for 2 years. So I was
exactly.
Sometimes, usually when they do that, they're suck. So, but it was really good.
Speaking of horror, you've been watching the news about Irma, you know, that evil witch?
One of the guys who lives here in the house, Mark, his brother is from south of Tampa.
Oh, man. Yeah, they're getting beat up right now.
Yes, he's actually texting with his neighbor. One of the windows is broken off, and he's going to stay here for a while unless his roof removes itself.
It's bad. It's real bad. I've been watching it all. When I got home last night, a little after 12, I've been watching it all night and this morning. It's bad.
Well, the girl who owns the house that I live in moved to Florida, again, just south of Tampa, to take care of her mother. And up until yesterday, she was saying, my mother's lived here for 20 years and has never had to leave. And all three of us here have been calling her, telling her, you know, this is the worst hurricane that has ever hit Florida. Finally, last night she calls and she said, we have to get out of here. All the shelters are full.
I was telling Justin that this morning. I said, you got people that wait to the last damn minute and try to get out. And then the roads get clogged up and can't get out, and you're stuck in your car during this thing.
Mm-hmm.
My dad has a friend that left too late in an RV.
Oh.
And was stuck on the interstate through both of them.
Yep.
So this time he said he was getting the hell out.
Right. Well, one of my roommates, Jim, Linda's son, called a friend of his in Louisiana who works for the Department of Transportation in Louisiana. The guy in Louisiana called a friend of his in Florida and found out that 95 is a parking lot and that the only way out of Florida is up through the Panhandle. So they left last night on their way to Atlanta.
I heard that what is it, Highway 101 that goes to the Keys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's closed, but they said that boats, the water had come up so high that boats were sitting up on
the deck.
Yeah, and they had to move.
Wow.
For emergency crews, you know, to get through there, they had to actually push them back off into the sea.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at these people, and you see this huge ass storm coming. I mean, it's bigger than Katrina. I mean, do they not watch TV? They do not hear what had went on. All them people down there should have got the hell out.
Yep.
A storm that big, and it could change direction any second.
Yep.
Anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't understand. Now, we have a friend down there right now that was in a hospital until last night, and they were going to leave out that last night, but he had to go back in this morning.
Okay.
No way. But see, something like that, you're stuck there, I can understand. But
Right.
people that could have got out should have left.
Yep. I don't understand living in Florida.
It's a beautiful place to visit, but that's about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've never been there, so I wouldn't know. The furthest southeast I've ever been is South Carolina.
I know traffic down there is worse than Atlanta during rush hour, continuously.
Right.
That's
what I've heard.
It's been about, I don't know, 6-7 years ago when I went down there. My dad's friend lives down there, and we were riding with him. And he said that traffic's like this all the time. He said there's really no speed limits. He said you just got to keep up with traffic or get ran over.
Yep.
And it's like, there ain't no way I live down here. There ain't no way.
Right.
Was there 18 million people on that little state?
Yeah.
Little peninsula?
Yep.
What is it, 90 miles wide? It's just...
Yeah, it ain't very wide at all because they were talking about the storm. I was 25 miles wide, and that was half of the width of Florida. So,
Yep.
So about 90 miles, yeah.
Yeah, the storm itself is the size of the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Have you seen the pictures and the videos of the ocean going out?
Yep.
When the when the eye starts approaching,
Exactly.
that is stunning. I mean,
Yep.
I remember in the eye of the storm, it's calm, but it's so calm it's eerie feeling.
Right. Exactly.
It's weird.
Well, I was telling Jimmy, who's only 34. I said in '72, a big hurricane missed Florida, came up the East Coast, and sat right over top of us. And it poured rain. I mean, the worst downpour you can imagine, nonstop for 3 days.
Yeah, my son, youngest son, he was asking me about hurricanes, and I told him, I said, they can't really predict. I mean, they really can't because they could stall out
Exactly.
and sit there for days and then gather up enough storm and energy and then start moving back in and just wipe it out. They could back up and track another way. I think, like I said, when something that big comes that way, you need to get as far away as you can. Because I don't care how many scientists you have together, how many computer models you have, Mother Nature always, will get her way.
Exactly.
I've been watching the models since this thing started, and it was supposed to go up the East Coast and then the middle, and then 24 hours ago they changed it to the West Coast. Less than 24 hours ago.
Yep, exactly.
So they really don't know,
Right.
Until they have a good idea.
Right.
It's forecasting, which means you're predicting. You don't know.
Yeah, it's not accurate.
Yes, well, let me tell you a story. Yesterday, I drove to Philly to visit a friend of mine in the hospital. And if you're familiar with Philadelphia at all, there is a highway there called the Schuylkill Expressway, also known as the Schuylkill. I get into the middle of traffic on the Schuylkill Expressway, and my phone rang. So once I got off the Schuylkill and was on the street roads, I called Jefferson back. Explained to him I wasn't able to answer the phone. But the whole drive down there, nothing until I got on the Schuylkill, and then my phone rang.
That's the way that
And
works.
I thought this is a hell of a time for somebody to be calling me.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
Good time.
Yeah.
My grandmother used to have an uncanny ability to call me at the worst time possible. I mean, I loved her to death, and I never, yelled at her on the phone or anything.
Yeah.
But she would call you when you're right in the middle of something,
Yep.
under a car or
Yeah.
in the middle of something you don't want to get out of, or
Yeah. That's
So-
the way it goes. That phone will not ring all day long. You'll be resting all day long. You get up and touch a tool, and that phone will ring off the hook.
Exactly.
Now it's my
Exactly.
mother's job. It got passed down to my mother since my grandma passed away.
Well, by the way, I was in Roxborough yesterday. I know when we were on the phone, I wasn't sure what town I was in.
It's like, where the hell I go now?
Which is
He's
basically what I was doing, yeah.
trying to find his way.
The main road which leads to the big main road, which I had to get to, was closed. So I'm talking to Jefferson on the phone and just driving down this little street, and all of a sudden, damn, the road's closed. Now where do I go? But I get done visiting my friend in the hospital and I leave. And as I get out to my car, all of a sudden I realized that I didn't bring enough money for the round trip, for the return trip on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. It's 10:45. I had like $3 left in my pocket. I was like, oh, shit. And then I thought, no, wait a minute. I bank at a Philly bank, Citizens Bank. There's got to be one around here. And I drove up and down the main drag, and I found every kind of bank except for a Citizens Bank. So I said, all right, that's fine. I'll go out to the Valley Forge Mall, and I'll find a bank there. And as I was leaving Roxborough, I turned onto a main drag to get out of town. And there it was, Citizens Bank. So I pulled into a bus parking, where a bus stop. And there was no parking anywhere. So I thought, well, my Miata's kind of like a bus. I can take one passenger. So I parked in the bus stop, ran over, used the Max machine, ran back, and did not get a ticket. So that was my great adventure of yesterday.
Yeah, we, me and Justin yesterday, day before yesterday, I think it was. I think it was day before yesterday. We went over to my dad's and helped him clean the yard up, and went over to my sister's house and helped her clean her yard up. Get all the, anything loose, flower pots, stuff like that up. Just in case the winds did get up high enough to start blowing stuff around, or a tornado come through. But I think that's all I've done all week. I ain't really done much, I don't think. Finished the ball joints in the car, got all that together.
Okay.
Man, man.
Tell him about the ball joint, and you can go on 100 miles an hour, 120.
Yeah,
you told us you went that fast.
Yeah,
Tell him about the ball joint.
Well, I went that fast on the interstate.
In a Volkswagen.
And I knew one ball joint on the passenger side was bad, not real bad, but it was bad. It was loose.
Right, it was loose.
It had some play. So my ball joints came in, and I jack up the car, and I take the wheels off, and I go to start disassembling the driver's side, and I went to grab a hold of the tie rod, the main tie rod that steers both wheels, the drag link, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And I grabbed a hold of it, and then I was squatting position, and I kind of fell backwards a little bit, and the drag link came off the ball joint.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to get up. I thought I was going to have to go change my pants. Because when that happened, it's like, oh, God. I could see just hitting a bump just right in that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. That was, I sat back down on it. You sit back down on it and take it right back out. And that's how bad it was. And then I got all the four out, and the lower ball joints were, real bad. The passenger side, you could almost take that ball joint out where the spindle was.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, kiddies, when you drive fast, make sure you have the proper good stuff on your car.
Exactly. Exactly. The drive down to Philly was very easy, not much traffic, just cruise to 70 the whole way. The drive back was hell. The drive back was 65 in the right-hand lane or 90 in the left-hand lane. And traffic was incredible and cops everywhere.
Yeah, they were just there just for the cleanup.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Last time I went through Atlanta, and I was trying to do the speed limit, but I was actually doing about 10 miles an hour over. And this cop car comes flying up beside me, and I'm looking over like, oh, shit, he's got me. He's going to pull me over. He's telling me, go. He's pointing his finger and telling me to go faster. It's like, what? Okay, you got it.
Okay, in 1985, I drove out to Tucson. and I'm in West Texas. Texas had they argued the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, and what they did was they took down all their speed limit signs. So I'm in West Texas in the left-hand lane, and I come flying down on this car in the left-hand lane, and I'm like, what the hell is this asshole doing in the left-hand lane doing 85? Okay. Okay, all right, maybe it's time to chill out. So I drove at 85 behind this car for a while, and I was like, fuck this noise. And I pulled into the right-hand lane, I went to pass him, and my radar detector went off.
No,
I mean, went off. And I turned and looked at it. It was an unmarked Texas State Trooper, and he had his radar gun pointed at me as I was passing him. I was like, oh, shit. So I slowed down. He pulled in behind me, drove like 10 miles behind me, and then he got off the highway, but he never pulled me over. Well, I'll tell you what happened last Sunday. I had to go down and feed the cats. So I'm driving down routes 11 and 15, and in the town of Enola, it's one lane in each direction with a suicide lane. Car pulls out in front of me and proceeds to do, the speed limit's 40 miles an hour. I'm doing like 45. Car pulls out in front of me and proceeds to do 15 miles an hour with no sign of accelerating, just crawling along at 15. I put my turn signal on, I pull into the center lane, I pass him, I put my other turn signal on, and I pull back into my lane. Well, there was a cop coming the other direction. He hits his lights, turns around, and I'm like, what the fuck? He pulls me over, I give him all my information and everything, and he said to me, he said, did you use the center lane to pass the car? I said, I did. He was going 15 miles an hour. I said, that's legal. And he said, no. Actually, it isn't. I said, well, I did what I thought was legal. I said, I used my turn signals and everything. He said, yes, you did. Goes back to his car for like a minute, comes back, hands me my license and registration and all that. He says, I'm just going to give you a verbal warning. Don't do that again. Now you know it's illegal. I said, well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. In our state, they're legally, if they pull you over, they have to write you, they can write you a warning, but they have to write, they can't, in my state, you can't do any kind of verbal warnings. There has to be a paper trail. Right. Not to say that's in your state, but in my state, there has to be for anything, Right. You can't even pull somebody over and say, hey, man, I ain't seen you in 10 years. You can't do it without writing some sort of warning ticket or something. But I kind of wish there was a verbal warning, but...
Yeah, I was expecting a ticket, but it was a young guy, and he was like, now you know what you did was illegal. I said, well, I appreciate that, and thank you for not giving me a ticket.
I had one highway patrolman that would, every time I passed him, he'd pull me over. And, I just for the stupidest stuff. And if I'm ever doing anything wrong and I get caught, I don't go to court. I pay the ticket because I was doing wrong. I got caught.
Right, exactly.
That's the way I am. But then me and my first wife bought a car for my sister, and she had the windows tinted like 5-6 years when she had the car. So we go through a road check, and the officer seen me sitting there, so he calls another guy over to take his place at that car, and he walks back to my car. And I told my wife, I said, yeah, he's about to give us a ticket for some dumbass reason. And sure enough, he did. The tint on the window, on the front windshield, was a fingernail below the ASI line. A fingernail.
Yep.
So I went to court that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I told that judge, I said, first of all, I told him, I said, if I get caught doing something wrong, I always pay a ticket, no problem. I get caught. I'm that type of person. I'm honest. I try to be honest with everybody. But this officer here, every time he passes me, pulls me over, gives me a ticket for something. This time, I go through a road check, and I told him what happened. And I actually told the judge, I said it was a fingernail below the ASI line. Well, the judge says, well, the law states that the tint should not be below the ASI line. It don't matter if it's fingernail or not.
Yep.
He said, did you fix the problem? I said, yeah. I said, in fact, after I got the ticket, I went about half a mile up the road, stopped, and pulled the tent off the window.
Mm-hmm.
And I told the judge, I said, look, this is, I'm thinking this is on the border of harassment and bullying. Because I've not been nothing but nice to this officer every time he's pulled me over. Very nice. You can ask him, unless he lies, which will be perjury in court. So Judge turns around and says, has he always been nice? He said, yes, he's a very polite gentleman. And I said, no, this is bordering on harassment and bullying. Next time he pulls me over for any reason, I don't care if I'm doing 100 mile an hour over the speed limit, if he gives me a ticket, I'm going to get a lawyer. Because he is the only, if you look at all my records, he is the only one that has written me all these tickets.
When I was a kid, I lived in Susquehanna Township, as did most of my friends. Susquehanna Township had an Officer Duchek, also known as Officer Douchebag.
Douchebag.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
And he would pull over motorcyclists in the rain. Oh, I couldn't see your registration sticker. Let me see your registration. And he's standing there in his raincoat and you're on your bike. He did that to me a couple of times. We used to get him back, though. He got the township to buy him a Kawasaki 1000 Police Special.
Nice.
Well, they didn't go as fast as our motorcycles.
They never do.
Exactly. And it's kind of hard to explain, but we would pass him coming down a hill. He would be parked in a Wendy's, pretending to be out of sight. And we knew he was there. We would go by about 100 miles an hour. And long story short, we would make it into my parents' garage with our bikes off, taking our helmets off, and he would go screaming up the hill with his lights and sirens and everything. And we would laugh. So many years later, I'm in my 40s, and I get a call from the state attorney general's office. I don't even remember what it was about, but the guy said, this is Investigator Duchek from the state attorney general's office.
Oh,
and I went, Duchek? Is this Officer Duchek from Susquehanna Township? He said, yes, Mr. Fitzgerald. I remember you, too.
Oh, Lord.
Always got a chuckle out of that.
Most cops are pretty good, and I mean they're your neighbors, and
Yeah.
some of them are corrupt.
Exactly.
There's bad ones, but most
Well,
of them are pretty good
98% of the time, even the bad ones are doing their job. It's just, that little more money they should be getting anyway.
people. Don't.
I'm not condoning
That doesn't
it.
excuse.
I know, but I mean,
Shit that goes on.
I would not be a police officer nowadays taking a bullet for as much as
I've told you before. I mean, our city, which is the richest city other than... There's three big cities in the state. There's Greenville, Columbia, which is the capital, of course, and Charleston. That's the three big boys. Greenville it's a big money-making city. And county's huge, but the city's...
Money-making scheme is what it is.
Yeah, okay, but they start the city cops now. I realize city cops don't get paid as much as county sheriff's deputies, and they don't have as much power either. But they start those guys out at $8.35 an hour.
Wow.
I'm not
There's
taking
no
bullet.
way in hell that I'm going to carry a gun and a badge and put my ass on the line for $8.35 an hour.
Well,
Unless there's some noble, reason to do so.
Me and my dad was talking. The Secret Service men that protect the president, the highest person in the United States, they don't really make that much.
Yep.
But it's the honor of protecting the president. That's
Okay,
the bonus.
I got something on that too.
But still,
right now they need. Well, they've exceeded their salaries. Basically, their overtime.
Mm-hmm.
This came out about 2 weeks ago, Brian, if you remember.
Something I ain't heard.
All the libtards started talking about it. I've got a solution for that, or I have known. I'm not saying I'm friends with them. 3 different Secret Service agents. One of them who still works in Washington. I won't say where because I don't want to get myself in trouble.
There you go.
But I know this man is a good man. But all of these guys have master's degree in psychology. You do not need, if you go to school for 7 or 8 years to college and then graduate school, if you go to school for that amount of time, you're going to expect 6-figure salary. Not to say, I don't know what their salaries are, but I would say it's close to 6 figures.
Mm-hmm. Not as close as you think.
Okay, all right, let's say 60,000.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
65, somewhere around there. The guys that have protected the president for over 100 years did not need master's degrees. The more you know about psychology, I guess the better, although there's.
That helps in any kind of situation that you may get into. See?
But, there's such a thing as common sense and being able to see when something's up. I mean, you can go to government programs and they have to go for 2 years and get trained anyway. You don't need a master's degree to carry a gun and protect the president.
Yep.
You don't.
I disagree with that, because you may get in a situation where you're captured, and that will be part of your job,
That's
your training.
The 2 years of training they go take up in Virginia and Washington and Baltimore.
But that helps, it even helps you more. Because, the more training you have on psychological training will help you.
I don't think they need it. Because that's just more money they need to get paid to be able to pay back that money.
Yeah, I understand. I disagree with you there, because, there's so many situations, and, I don't know how to explain it. I think
the head of the Secret Service and the administrative people, I can understand having master's degrees. But not the guys that are standing there all day protecting the president. I don't see any use in it. It's a waste of. I'm not saying they need to be paid less. Certainly not.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, when you spend all that time and you put yourself in debt, that has to be repaid.
Right.
And the government has to pay you, not to say they're paying you what somebody else would.
Right.
But they have to pay you so you can pay that back.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, go get yourself a bachelor's degree in criminal justice or psychology or whatever the hell you want to take that, somewhat relates to that.
Right.
And really, a master's degree, I don't even know if you probably know this. I know Brian knows this, but you spend a year in classes and they teach you how to write your final thesis.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the degree. But you spend the first year doing that, and then you go off and you spend a year or 2 years writing that master thesis. And then you submit it along with other paperwork.
Right.
And then it goes before a board, and then they question you on everything that you were supposed to have learned, and then you're done. So really, a master's degree, I know a girl that has a master's degree in music, but it took her 2 years. So she did 3 years to get her batch, 2 years to get her master's.
As many therapists I've gone to, the majority of them, 90% of them, the more education they have, the less common sense they have.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I call it, the more education you get, the dumber you are. Because, yeah, you're book smart, but when you walk out in the real world, you need that common sense.
Right.
Because logic tells me, common sense tells me, if I walk out in front of a speeding transfer truck, I'm walking out into traffic. Common sense tells me that truck is going to eat me alive and not even slow down. Now, an educated person will say, yeah, I can step out in front of traffic.
I have
roll down
0.005 seconds.
Yeah.
To jump.
It's just.
Where's my equations?
I just, like we were talking about, the common sense law comes in effect. Even like if you're in a car, if something's bigger than you, like a train, you don't get in front of it. Oh, Lord.
It's like, I had I think it was calculus professor. I don't remember if it was an advanced algebra class or I don't remember. But she wrote out this long equation for doing miles per gallon when it's extremely simple. And I told her, I wrote it on paper. I was like, look, 100 miles, 10 gallons, 10 miles per gallon. She's like, yeah, but I want you to learn how to do it this way.
Yeah, I don't understand why they want us to learn the long way if we're going to do it the short way.
Exactly.
That my oldest son, he is a freaking walking calculator. I mean, he's like way off the charts in math, but he cannot show his work. He can do it in his head and tell you before he can finish writing down the damn equation.
Yep.
It's weird. And the teachers would fail him because he didn't show his work. And I said,
Yeah.
you think he's cheating and using a calculator at home? No, we know he's like really smart. He does it in his head. I mean, as soon as I write the last number down on the board, he's calling the answer out. Then why are you failing him? Because he's not showing his work. If he's getting the right answer, I don't see why there's a problem.
Exactly.
And if he's in class and you know he's not cheating, so I told one teacher, I said, then why don't you give him something to challenge him? I said, because you're not smart enough to do it. That's why.
They have a book they had to go by. Anything outside of that,
they're lost.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's the educated person there. See, they can't think outside the line there. They can't go outside the rules. It's funny, and Justin's a little bit like that too. He can't really show all his work, but he can do some of it in his head, and he's having a hard time showing his work because he'll skip steps to get the answer because he does it in his head and he can't write it on paper. It's just mark of a genius, I guess. But
when I was in high school, you had the option to take algebra and geometry and calc and all that, which I took geometry and beginner algebra when I was in middle school. But in high school, because I went to private school, they had all of that and calculus and statistics and trig, but they also offered general math, balancing your checkbook.
Yeah.
Simple, stuff that we need on a daily basis now.
Right.
Like photography, for example. I know in my head already what shutter speed and what aperture and all that stuff, but you do use some algebra in photography, but it's all in your head.
Right.
To get the right exposure. But because I didn't take algebra in high school, when I went back to college, I had to start basically at high school algebra and move my way up, which took me a couple years. But it was actually good because I basically started back at the fundamentals, and I had really good professors to work me back up.
When I'm doing math problems, sometimes I have to go back all the way back to my basic math. So what I'll do is whatever formula I'm working on, if I know the answer to that, then I'll take the answer there to that problem there, and I'll go back to figure out my steps, how to calculate the new problem I have to do. So sometimes you have to go back. Because I do a lot of sub-box designing, and if you change anything inside, that means that subwoofer it's taking up so much airspace, your port's taking up so much airspace, so when you change anything inside that box, it changes everything. And sometimes when I'm designing a sub-box, it may take me a month or two because I'm always changing, trying to get that certain frequency I want for that box.
Right.
And I may have 2 or 3 pages of math, and my wife, this has been a while back, she looked over it and was going through my notebook, and she said, "What are all these math problems? What are you doing?" I said, so I had to explain it to her. Math, you need math. It don't matter where you're at.
I usually do stuff in my head far faster than I can find a calculator.
Yeah, a lot of the math problems I'm doing, I can do in my head. Because, some nights at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning is when I get my peak. I don't know what you're going to call it. Ideas or whatever. Man, it's crazy. Especially if you got a subwoofer that's got a curve in it. Oh, man.
I know that Pennsylvania State Police here have to have a bachelor's degree to get into the academy.
That's for the go ahead.
Yeah, that's for the state police. Local police only need a associate's degree.
Our local police, they just high school.
Yeah, high school.
Yeah, obviously you get paid more if you have more education.
Yeah.
The deputies anyway. Now the city, they pay you the same whether you got a master's degree or
right.
My wife worked for 911 services, and she had to go for a lot of training classes a lot of times for different stuff. And I think one of the classes was psychological class.
I'm
So,
sure with 911 they had to take.
Man, but she's glad she's out of that now, though. That was a headache for her. She enjoyed it, but it was a headache. Because she said you wouldn't believe how many people would call and go, "What time is it? Where's the closest McDonald's?"
Yep.
I can imagine somebody calling 911. I mean, I think I've read this before, but McDonald's won't give me my French fry.
Oh, yeah.
She says they got a lot of that.
Yeah.
And she said dumb crooks. She said they'll have a car chase going on, and the car would be ditched in the ditch somewhere or something like that. And about an hour later, they'll get a phone call. "Hey, my car's been stolen." "Okay, we'll send you an officer right out there to you to get your information." And they come up and arrest the dude.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
There was I'm sure you've probably seen it, but it was on Cops a long time ago, where this woman calls 911, and she went and bought crack.
Oh, yeah.
This other woman, and
she stole her, wouldn't give her money.
Stole her $20.
Yeah.
Wouldn't give her no crack.
Oh, Lord.
And then they go up to the woman,
Yeah.
and say, "This woman says she gave you $20 for crack," and the woman said, she told the cop, she said, "Honey, I ain't no drug dealer. I'm a prostitute." I just cracked up.
I was watching
some
some of them videos on YouTube, and I happened to run across something like that. And I let Kim listen to it. She said, "Oh, you wouldn't believe how many times that actually happens." She said, "This is what happens. A young kid, it'd be a young kid, usually a young kid, will call and go, 'Hey, would I get in trouble if I grow like one marijuana plant? Or how many marijuana plants can I grow legally?' And she go, 'Well, how many plants do you have?' 'Oh, I just got one right now. I want to make sure it's legal to have it.' And they'd send a squad car out there while they're on the phone." Oh, Lord.
Dumb criminal tricks.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. She said, "You wouldn't believe how much that happened."
You ever seen that? I think it's on A&E Live PD.
Oh, yeah. Greenville County's on there a lot.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. They go all over the country, and they
Yeah.
have live.
Yeah, live feeds.
What is it? Friday nights or something?
Let's see. Yeah,
Friday or Saturday evenings.
I think it comes on twice.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturdays, I think. Yeah, I think it's Friday and Saturday, because it was on the other night. I know it was a big deal when they were saying they were going to do it live here in South Carolina. You know, all the stupid ass people going, "Oh, yeah.
I need to get arrested tonight.
Yeah,
I'll be on live
TV,
PD.
yeah. But now someone told me it's on there a lot. Green County's on there a lot because this is a big city. A lot of theft in this big city. Did you know our neighbors down the street here got broke into? One of the houses down there. I think it's the one on the end of the street.
Mr. Whitfield?
I think it's on the end of the street right there. Might have been there and more next. They broke in the building and stole a bicycle.
Oh, Mrs. Not Carter. At the end of the street.
Yeah.
Mrs. What's her name?
I don't know her name.
But yeah, I do know about that.
I told Justin, I said they probably need a ride to work. Leave them alone. We got a guy riding. I think we discussed it last time. The scooter guy riding around.
Yeah, a guy on a scooter that putt-putts around here.
That's okay, because the other day he come by riding real slow, and Molly happened to be out in the front yard. And he stops in the middle of the road and says, "Hey, will that dog bite?" I said, "Yes, she will." I said, "Go extremely slow by here when you see her out in the front yard, because she will chase you down and rip you off that moped." She's 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She bit you now, probably wouldn't hurt, but and she can't run fast. So, but I tell anyone that asks if she bites, yes, she does bite.
Yes.
Don't come in the yard.
Speaking of dogs and biting, my sister used to have 3 pit bulls
Yes.
in her backyard. She has a huge backyard. It's what, 3/4 of an acre?
Wow.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's good size. Yeah, I'd say 3/4 of an acre.
Well, anyway, this has been years ago. She don't have no dogs now, thank God. Well, they do have one little, whatever it is, little Dachshund?
Dachshund? Weenie dog?
Weenie dog, something like that.
I hate them dogs.
Anyway, big old pit bulls. I mean, the heads were, big around as a big old watermelon.
Yeah.
I mean, these were, expensive breed pit bulls, which I personally don't like pit bulls. I think they're stupid.
No. Oh.
They've been bred stupid. I don't think they're evil, but I do think they're stupid as hell.
You just seen the redneck side of the pit bulls. You need to see the other side.
Whatever.
The show dogs and stuff, man. Oh my God, they're good dogs.
Anyway, I used to have to cut her grass. So I've got a riding Murray, pretty good size Murray lawnmower, and they've got this one that's the meanest one of the lot. I mean, if he could get to you, the chain is probably ½ inch, just the actual steel, of the ½ inch chain length. So I'm going around. He's got an area where he's, there's no grass.
That's
his
your
circle.
That's your warning mark.
Yeah. So I got the lawnmower and I'm going around through there, and I need to get this little area, right up against his area. So I'm going up through there, and I'm trying to, yell at him to stay away from the rubber chute,
Yeah.
so nothing comes out and hits him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the dog to get hurt. He's an evil bastard, but I still don't want him to get hurt.
Right.
So he comes up and lunges and grabs the rubber of the chute on the side with the blades going and starts pulling me and the mower in. I mean, and I put it wide open and the throttle turn the blades off, turn the throttle wide ass open in 5th gear, and it's sitting there spinning and he's pulling me in. So I finally had to kick him in the head to get him to let go so I could get away, because he had pulled me in about 3 feet at that point.
Yeah.
He was getting me. He was pissed.
One of Kim's relatives raises those dogs for show dogs. The cheapest one, the one that would probably not make it into the dog shows, is $3,500.
Yeah, that's nuts.
But
I
these
still
dogs
think
are
they're
beautiful.
stupid, ugly ass dogs.
Oh, I love the pocket. I like the pocket pit style. They're smaller, they're a little bit more broader, the lower. The ones I kept for your sister, the 2 puppies. That one was so beautiful. The female, it was so beautiful. It had the prettiest silver coat on it. Oh, I love that dog.
Now, you go to the shelter here in town, and it's full of pit bulls.
That's the redneck side of the pit bulls, because these people don't take care of them right. These dogs are like Dobermans. You got to show them a lot of love and attention. Because when I got my Doberman, my first wife gave me my first Doberman for my birthday, and she was 9 months old. Had been beat. She got her from a Doberman rescue, and she was beat very badly, and I didn't think she was gonna make it. But I gave her every day. I worked with that dog for 3 hours every day.
Yep.
And it took me a year to pet her from the head all the way down to her tail without her booking off. My dad swore up and down that dog was going to eat my kids, eat me, and would not be back over to my house as long as I had that dog.
Yep.
Now, when he comes in my house now, it's not, if I'm in the bathroom or in the back bedroom when he comes in and he's talking to Kim, it's not, where's Donovan? Hey, how you doing? It's, where's Molly? How's Molly doing? She has been the best Doberman, and it changed my dad's views on them dogs so much. And it goes back to the way they're treated. Now, some dogs, you can show them all the love and attention you want, and they're not going to change. That's just like people. Sometimes it just don't work out.
My mother has a teacup. What is that dog? It's one of them little bitty...
Fur balls? Is furry?
Drop kick dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pomeranian?
But, no, it's not a Pomeranian. It's some sort of...
Shih
Terry. No, really, it's like a $1,500 dog, and it's only it can fit in your hand.
I know what your dog. I can't remember the name.
And anyway, his name's Tiny. That's my niece's name for him. But my mother sits there, at work and does her work. And he sits up on the desk. He's so small, he fits in her pocketbook. My mama loves it. Every time I talk to her, she's at either PetSmart or Walmart getting something for that dog. It goes to the vet about once a week just for a checkup. She loves that dog.
If I ever get another dog, and I told my wife this, I said, if we ever do get another dog, I got Molly now, and I've always wanted a Doberman, but I said, if I ever get another animal, a pet, and it will be a dog, it'll be an outside dog more like, it'll be a dog that I want to take care of, because I don't want to take care of them. All the kids got pets, and I always end up taking care of them. So I told them, I said, from now on, if we ever get no pets, I'm picking the pet out. I got to take care of it anyway. I might as well enjoy it. But one dog is a small hairless dog. Comes from Mexico.
A Chihuahua.
But no, it's not a Chihuahua. It's similar to a Chihuahua, but it's a little bit bigger than them.
Okay.
But they're hairless and they're black. They're weird looking. That's why I kind of want that one. And the other dog would be a big dog, and it would be like a boxer or a pit.
Outside dog, Australian Shepherd.
Those are nice dogs.
Yeah.
I live in a house full of Australian Shepherds.
Do they shed a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Outside dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are 4 Australian Shepherds here, from large to small.
I thought about a greyhound at one time.
Uh-huh. Greyhounds are great dogs.
Yeah,
Big
greyhound or a Great Dane.
Mm-hmm. Greyhounds are big, lazy dogs.
My cousin used to breed bull mastiffs.
Uh-huh.
Them damn things.
And he's like, "Oh, I'll get you a really good. You need a dog." And I'm like, "No, man, I can barely afford to feed me. I don't need one of them things."
Yeah. Yeah, I had to go down to Pelzer to that place where it sells 55-gallon drums of dog food.
Yeah.
We got a place down here that what they do is they go around to all the warehouses, food warehouses, and any busted bags or anything, they take them and then they dump them in a barrel. Now you can get mixed food or just the regular food, but it's cheaper still to buy it that way than it is to the main people.
Yeah, there are 4 dogs here. We buy 44 pounds at a time.
Molly goes through 20 pounds in a week.
Yep.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. She's a bigger Doberman.
Mm-hmm.
So being a female, she's big. I think she was going to be a show dog because she's got a show cut. She got the longer dock tail, and the ears are cut more in a curve than a straight line.
Right.
So we think she was going to be a show dog, and it just didn't work out, and the people that owned her just abused her because she wasn't going to be any good. So.
That sucks.
Well, I'm glad because I got her, and she's lived 18 years. So.
Oh,
that's long. Yeah.
All right, well, gentlemen, I'm going to call it a night.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, coming in.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
See you next
See ya.
week.